about me is that I'm smiley, I'm confident, I'm a happy, glass half full, positive type of person. I tend to take risks and make things happen. What a lot of people don't know about me is that when I'm about to take a stage or lead a workshop, I question myself. I wonder how I actually got here. I'm kind of lucky. What a lot of people don't know about me is that when I consider whether I want to put on an event, I have to really dig deep into myself to get the courage to actually do it. What a lot of people don't know is that I suffer from imposter syndrome. Big time. I was in the right place at the right time. I had connections. Oh, if I can do it, anyone can do it. I knew somebody. They introduced me. I had an in. If you've ever said or thought any of those things, can you put your hand up for me? Yeah, thank you. Two things. Number one, thank you for making me feel like I'm not alone. And number two, welcome to imposter syndrome. And here's the thing, and I know it's not a super popular idea, but I love it when people tell me they suffer from imposter syndrome, including for myself. And the reason why that is that it tells me that they're a high performer. It tells me that there's someone who's prepared to put themselves in a situation where they think they don't belong. It tells me that they're prepared to get uncomfortable so that they can actually grow. It tells me that they're always seeking to change. And that's what it means to get yourself out of your comfort zone. And your comfort zone is a fantastic place to rest, but it's not a place to live. So here's the thing. Imposter syndrome is going to happen, right, to all of us. Let's see how we can cope with it, and then get on with our lives. So I want to give you a few tips to think about how you can cope with it. First of all, make a list of your strengths and your skills. You might do one of these DISC assessments or strengths-based leadership assessment from Gallup, one of those things. Highlight all the things that tell you something about yourself and keep going back to it. You'll see all the skills that you've learned in the past, and your past counts when you're in a career transition. Everyone thinks, oh, I'm starting anew. You're not, right? You've got a career of 10 years or 15 years behind you. That doesn't count for nothing. The second thing you can do is list your achievements. Do that every single day. I have a little book by my bed. It sits near my pillow. And every day I write something in there. And it's a small win sometimes. Doesn't matter. It's an achievement, right? Sometimes it's simply, today I took 20 minutes to do yoga. Win, right? Write your achievements. Write also, small wins and celebrate. Oh, I have a great story about this. My very first workshop, about 2 years ago, I emailed a whole bunch of people. One person got back to me. She paid me $150 to do a 1-hour workshop at a college. And I was so ecstatic. That week, my boyfriend and I went to celebrate, and we had a meal that cost $200. We celebrated that win, I tell you. It was my first money that I was making from that job. Look at your losses. Celebrate the lessons, right? They're not losses. We all know it. Failure is not a failure. Don't need to expand on this one. Jackie mentioned the importance of finding community. Not any community. Find two types of people. The people who are going through the same thing as you are, because your partners, your friends, they don't really want to hear about it, right? So find the people who are going through the same thing. Find the people who have been through it. Find some role models, find some examples. There's a whole room full of people that you can connect with in a bit that will help you get through this. The next thing I'll say is, and we talked about this, someone mentioned success earlier. What does that mean to you, right? Is it making a whole bunch of money, or is it being happy and aligned with yourself? What does success mean to you? Spend some time thinking about that. This is a massive one. Examine your relationship with money and its impact on your imposter syndrome. Does your worth come from how much money you're bringing in? Because if that's the case, you can stop it right now. Go back to your strengths, go back to your achievements, go back to all those things. Those are what makes your worth, right? Not how much money you're bringing in at the beginning. And last but not least, stop comparing how you feel on the inside with what people show on the outside. When I first started, especially when I started coaching, I'm part of a wonderful, wonderful community of people. It's a community of women called Dreamers and Doers, and I know that some of you are also a part of it. It's a beautiful community. It has a lot of coaches in it. And I saw their posts, and I was like, oh my God, they are so far ahead of me. I have so much to learn. Loser, I don't know anything. And then I started talking to people, and I realized that they thought the same of me. and it just made me think, okay, I have to stop looking at what people are putting out. I have to think about what am I doing? What's going on inside of me? So with that, I'm going to remind you that imposter syndrome is going to happen. How you cope with it, how you approach it is really what counts. So my best advice for you is this. As soon as you can start feeling it, you'll notice it, you'll learn to recognize it from all these things that you say. Use one of the strategies that we just talked about, and get on with your life. So now that we know how to deal with imposter syndrome, I want to really start thinking about the confidence to start anew. And first things first, courage comes first, confidence comes second. Confidence is a result, it's not a requirement. I remember 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago, when I was leaving my job, and I was so emotional. It was my last day at school. I was saying goodbye to fantastic people I've been working with, kids I really loved, I'd seen them grow. It was the first job I had in New York City. They brought me here, they paid for me to move to the United States. I was so emotional, but the truth is, I wasn't crying because I was emotional. I was crying because I was terrified. I was about to turn 40. I was going to have no regular income living in New York freaking City. And I had a very, very, very vague idea of what I actually wanted to do with myself. I was terrified, but I did it. Courage comes first, confidence comes second. Confidence is a result, not a requirement. And so I look back, and with the hindsight, I think about the process that I went through. And I noticed that there were phases to it. I started talking to people, started doing interviews and getting really interested in that process. Interviewed over 40 people on their own transition. Some of you are here. Hello. And realized, okay, we all go through the same things. And so what I want to do today is really go through that process with you so that you at least know what you're dealing with. And you'll probably find yourself in different stages of that process. The first one being exploration. Exploration is 100% counterintuitive for anyone who's driven by outcomes, by achievement. Hello, high performers, right? It's horrible. It creates so much anxiety because you have no idea what's going on. And where there's curiosity, where there's discovery, there's nothing to achieve. There's only a learning process. One day, I'm at home. Might have been crying on the bed alone for about 30 minutes. When Mark, my boyfriend, comes in, and I was trying to hide it, and I couldn't. And he saw that I was crying. So he came and he held me and he said, "Dom, what's going on?" Remember those words that were here? I said, "I feel like a failure, not making any money. I've been at this for over a year. I'm not going anywhere. I'm scattered. I have no idea why the hell I'm doing this. I want to give it all up and I want to find a full-time job that gives me money." And he just held me and he said, "It's going to be okay." And we sat there, I'm not kidding, for about 30 minutes. He sat in silence. And after a while he said, "Dom, I love you and I really want to support you. And I really need to pee." And it allowed me to get out of my head. Because that's the thing, you're going to get in your head. You're going to think you're a failure, you're going to think that you're not going anywhere. The truth is, while you're going through that exploration process, you're actually starting to gather all the little pieces that are going to form your bigger picture when you're ready to see it. So that exploration process that's 100% counterintuitive is actually necessary. The anxiety that you're creating is your old behavioral pattern coming back, trying to find the one thing, right? Trying to find that achievement. My best advice for you when you're in this stage of exploration is this. Find a way to have financial stability. You're going to have your cash projects and you're going to have your sexy projects, right? Your cash projects are going to be anything that gives you money. Some people, I know someone who got a job waiting tables. You might double up. For me, I used to tutor some of the kids I used to teach at school. You might have a part-time job, whatever it is. But you don't want to be spending your energy trying to find money. You want to be spending your energy having time to do that unrestricted exploration, taking classes, starting new projects, talking to people, gathering all the different inspiration, stimulation from lots of different sources. So find your cash projects so that you can have your sexy projects. And before you know it, actually, might be after you know it, because sometimes it takes a long time, you'll start moving into that second step of defining what it is you want to do. And there's a great quote by Steve Jobs. I'm sure some of you have heard it, but he says that you can connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking backwards. So you have to trust that somehow the dots will connect in your future. And I go back to that word trust because when I did my interviews, that's the one word that came back all the time. I asked people, what helped you get through that anxiety, that when you were exploring, when you were trying things out? And they said, I trusted that I was meant to do more. I didn't know what more meant, but I knew it. I trusted that I was capable of doing it. That's one of the keys. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I trusted that I was capable of doing it. So that word trust just has so much importance. So with the definition stage, I remember the exact day that this happened for me. I was on the phone with one of my coaches. She said, Dom, you sound really overwhelmed today. What's going on? Story of my life. And I said, well, I'm working on a few things. And she said, what are you working on? One-on-one coaching, my group coaching program. I'm thinking about writing a book. I'm doing some videos. I'm thinking about starting an online course. And she's like, stop it. Write everything down. So just that process, if you're in there where you're like, I have so many projects I want to do, write everything down. So I did that. And when we finished our calls, I went through the list. And I said, okay, what is it that gives me energy? What fuels me out of these projects? And what is it that drains my energy in these projects? The drains, I let go of. It's not easy because Jackie talked about this, right? You've invested money, you've invested time, you've invested energy. You have to make those decisions. So I let go of all the drains and I looked at all the things that actually gave me energy. And I started to go a little deeper into them. Unbeknownst to me, I was actually starting to define my vision. Didn't want to bark at people anymore when they asked me, like, what do you want to do next? And I was like, I don't know. And now I was like, okay, I want to work on these projects. That's what I'm doing. So it's going to take a little while, but suddenly you're going to realize, when I was in that exploration stage, I met the right people, had the right insights, got the right ideas, all those things that are actually going to bring you to your next step. You're defining where you want to go, you're defining who you want to be. My best advice for you is this. While you're in that stage of exploration, have a notebook or whatever it is you take notes on and write down each time you start a project, what is it that you love about it? What really fuels you about it? How does it really fit in with your values, with what you stand for, with what you believe in? How does it carry you forward? Maybe even what do you not like about it, so that you know, I don't want to bring this into my next step. Think about, well, what elements, what little pieces of this project are really important to me and I want to keep having. You're going to start slowly seeing that big picture form. I like to think, I put this picture because I like to think it's like one of those detective maps, you know, the big ones with like the pins and the threads. So suddenly you're like, oh, this, and boom, you start to understand, okay, that's where I'm going. So once you know where you start, once you start to know where you're going, I don't know if we ever really actually know, you can start to embody this new identity, right? You can start to really step into this new person you're becoming. And I have one more story for you about this. This was, I think, 3 weeks ago. A professor from my master's, I did that in Hong Kong, messaged me on LinkedIn, and we have not spoken since I finished my master's 6 years ago. It was a master's in educational leadership. We have not been in touch at all. So I get this message from him, and he says, Dom, I'm so excited for you, and I'm so proud to see what you're doing now. I love that you've become an expert at coaching. I see that you're speaking for the International Coach Federation. It's really awesome. And I'd love to see how we can showcase your work to the graduating class this year. My first thought was like, oh, he's just being nice. And I was like, okay, reframe, imposter syndrome, make it come back. So I came back to it and I was like, okay, put the facts in front of you, women. This man has not spoken to you in 6 years. Why exactly would he email you and say, blah, 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 to be nice? He has no reason to be nice. He's doing this because he's seen the work you've done and he values your work. So I responded, Darren, I would be delighted to showcase my work to the class, to the graduating class of this year. And it was a moment for me to truly embody who I've been. And so, when you've been through this exploration, this definition, what you've done is you've actually gained the skills, the attitudes, all the knowledge that you need in order to step into that next step. Essentially, you've built a whole lot of confidence. You're now ready, right? And now that you know where you're going, it's time to rise and shine, and it's time to let the world know exactly what it is you want to do next. So when you introduce yourself to new people, introduce yourself with that new identity. Oh, this is me, this is what I do. When you introduce or reintroduce yourself to people you know, leave no room for mistake. Show that confidence. This is what I do now. This is who I am. Some people will mock you. Some people will think you're arrogant, because that's going to happen, right? People are not always nice. Some people will ask, well, who are you to reinvent yourself? You, every single one of you, is the person who is willing to sit in the discomfort, in fear, in doubt, in uncertainty, so that you can create the life that you want to live. You're the person who's sitting in this room on a Saturday morning, finally drinking kombucha, product placement, finally doing this because you're ready to step into your new identity. That's who you are, right? So those people who are mocking you, chances are they're thinking, I wish I could do this. I can guarantee you, in our panelists, you'll hear it later, anyone who has changed their career has told me. Everyone around me warned me, and then they were saying, I wish I could do what you're doing. So if they mock you, if they're arrogant, whatever, you're that person sitting in the chair right now who's actually doing the work. I'm still working on this. I can probably say that a few of our panelists are too. Sorry, guys. New beginnings are a process. Right? They're the result of a deep transformation. They're messy, they're untidy, because they're a human experience. They're not going to happen like this. They're not a single outcome. So if you want to rise and shine and truly step up to your potential, You cannot cheat that process. You have to take the time to go through it. And I can't give you a timeline. I can't tell you it's going to take that much time because it's different from person to person. What we're doing is going from all the things we talked about earlier with success, right? Going from external validation to internal alignment. And that's going to be very different from each of you, for each of us. The idea is, will you be ready to step into that process? And I guess that's the last question I have for you is, do you want to simply change your job, right? Go to a new job, or do you want to create a life that's truly fulfilling, that allows you to have a deep impact on the world? And I know that if you're sitting in this chair today, it's because you're in the second part of that question. I, for one, cannot wait to see where it's going to take. Stop.